Hello, this is Jessica Fox from Florida Virtual Bookkeeper, and today I want to talk to you about how you can eliminate the overwhelm and stress from filing 1099s. I used to be like many of you. 1099 season was so stressful. I dreaded January. It was so busy trying to chase down information, trying to meet the deadlines, but not anymore. Unfortunately, it breaks my heart to still hear so many of my colleagues going through the same thing, dreading the process, talking about how long it's taking them and how overwhelming it is. So I want to share with you what I did to make the process go so smoothly that it takes me less than an hour to file 1099s for all of my clients in January. So the tips first is to implement a processing workflow. Now the key is to follow it. I've seen so many people that after January is over, they tell me, never again. I am doing things differently. I am creating a plan. Next year will be different. And then next year rolls around and they're just as overwhelmed as I remember them being the previous year. So while I'm going to share my process, it needs to go beyond just creating it. You will want to make sure that you follow it. Now, you also want to get your clients involved. It is their compliance responsibility after all. If the 1099s don't get filed on time or don't get filed correctly, the IRS is going to be contacting them and issuing fines and penalties to them. So why not make them part of the process? If you're going to be taking the entire compliance burden off of their shoulders, they should be paying you handsomely for it, because that's going above and beyond just doing bookkeeping. So don't feel like you have to take on the entire stress. Your clients can play a big role in making sure that this process goes smoothly, and it doesn't really take a whole lot of effort in their part. It's just a matter of getting them educated on your processes and giving them friendly reminders when they forget to follow it. Now, you also want to be proactive. These processes that I have in place, they go on year round. It's not just something that I do in January when it's time to file the 1099s. A few extra minutes throughout the year yield a less stressful January for me. It's just another month. And if you aren't yet, use any filing solution. It's the 21st century. There's no need to go to Staples or order a form packet from Amazon and be printing them and mailing to the IRS and mailing to the recipients. There's lots of good e-filing solutions out there. They make it quick, easy, and it's inexpensive. It's very good value that can save you a lot of time and hassle when it's time to actually process the forms. So now I want to show what it is that I actually do. And for me, it actually starts with onboarding. I educate my clients from the very beginning on what the compliance obligations are and what my process is for them. So I have a client handbook where it has a section that addresses 1099 form preparation. The most important thing that they need to know is that they have to request a W-9 form prior to issuing payments. I also have a knowledge base on my website where if a client is looking for information in the portal, they'll see the information about the 1099 processing. And it gives them the basics of the compliance, and it spells out very clearly what it is that they need to do. That way they don't have any questions and they know when they need to provide the information for me. So how do I remind them and I get this done? Well, I use 17 Hats for that. 17 Hats is my workflow project management software and CRM, but you don't need this app. If you're using something else, use that. If you don't have an app in place, it's okay. You can still do it manually. Set a reminder in your calendar. The biggest thing is remembering to do it. So I do have a quarterly review that I do for all of my clients. This first part is from the Pure Bookkeeping System. If you don't know what it is, ask me. I'll be happy to tell you. I have a video on it. Definitely worth it. Check it out. But getting back to 1099s, I do have an additional section that is a W-9 vendor check. This allows me to be checking several times a year and proactively following up with clients if a potentially eligible for 1099 vendor doesn't have a W-9 on file. This prevents us from being all stressed out trying to get this information in January, because you've probably seen how difficult it is to get some vendors to reply in January, or they'll tell you, I don't have to get that to you. But if you're doing it early in the year, especially if they haven't gotten paid yet, then they're motivated to provide that information for you. So I do actually have a report that I run in the books, because then I can see which vendors have been created in the last 3 months. Then I take a quick look and see, do they provide goods or services, or is it for rent or legal services? And if it's for one of the categories that are eligible for 1099 payments, then I take a look, do I have a W-9 on file or not? If I don't, I will just click here, automatically opens this email template where it fills in the information, and all that I need to do is add the vendor's name. And I can send this to the client, and then the ball is in the client's court, and they can then go ahead and get that information. Then throughout the year, when it's time to actually work on 1099s, I actually start this workflow in December, at the very beginning of December. Not all of my clients like me to do their 1099s. Some are DIYers and they like to do it themselves. Fine by me. Others pay all of their contractors through a payroll service, so that payroll service takes care of the 1099s. Others may have their tax preparer create them instead of me. So regardless of whether they have had me do it in previous years or not, all of my clients get this questionnaire at the beginning of December saying, do you want me to take care of this for you, or are you good and you got it? And then they just say yes or no. And that either stops the process or starts the ball rolling. And this is something that I have set to auto send. So I can, in 17 hats, select all of my active clients, add the workflow, and it sends it to everybody at once. It takes seconds, just a couple of clicks. And it's beautiful because it reminds them of the compliance, and I have the documentation in case they don't reply or whatever, that, hey, I let you know and you need to do that. So for those that reply, yes, I want you to do this for me, then I create the list of estimated recipients. So in QBO, I will just create the 1099 information sheet. It verifies anybody that may not have W-9 information on file. By now, I will have all of them, but said a client forgot or ignored the previous email. This is where it gets caught in early December, before we are in the year-end madness. So usually by the time December 31st rolls around, I already got all W-9s. I don't have to be chasing or waiting. Now, when it comes time to actually process the 1099s, my approach is different from a lot of people that I know. A lot of bookkeepers, they just take the information from the books, they file the forms, then they give the client copies. I do it differently because this return is for the client, it's in their name, it's from their compliance responsibility. So I want to make sure that they understand what it is that is being filed before it's done, because they may look at it and something doesn't look right to them. Something may jump out. They may have questions. I want to nip that in the bud. I avoid any issues before the forms are filed, because I don't want the extra work and hassle of doing it twice and having to pay extra to send additional forms. So I always send the clients the list for approval, and then once they approve it, I then e-file the forms. So this is an email template that I have. I actually, if you see here, I send it in July. It's like a heads up for people reminder that, hey, this is just a friendly reminder, collect W-9 forms. Then in January, usually by the middle of January, this is the email that I sent telling them, hey, it's done. And all your recipients are going to get their copies. Click here to download your own copy. We're good. I've had this system and process in place for 3 years already. This is my 4th year, actually, and it's been working beautifully. I tweak it a little every year, but this year it really took me less than 45 minutes to process the 1099 forms for all my clients because the brunt of the work had been spread out 1 minute here, 2 minutes there throughout the year. So by the time January rolled around, everything was good and done in QuickBooks Online. The e-filing platform that I used, Text 1099, was already connected and mapped. So it was just a matter of import, check, file. So I hope that this is helpful. I really hope that you take some action on this. Even if you don't like my process, create your own. But what I really hope that you get from this is being empowered to take control of this process so that you dominate 1099s, they don't dominate you. And I hope that next 1099 season, I get to hear and read about how easy it was for you and how much better it is. If you have any questions, I am only an email away, Jessica@floridavirtualbookkeeper.com. Have a great day.